The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, it's Sandra. Happy beautiful Tuesday night to you. Happy Money Club workshop night. I honestly have been looking forward to this all day. I've been feeling like I just want to connect with you all, and I've been in the Facebook group and how you're feeling going through these workshops and these exercises, and I just want you to know that no matter where you are in the process and no matter how you're feeling, it's all good. And the best part of sort of where we are right now is feeling excited for what the future holds, but it's really also so important to take the time to appreciate and celebrate what we've done already. So yes, we're going to put a plan into place tonight. We're going to go into a lot of, this is kind of where we get to really nerd out, and I get really excited about this because this is an area where I used to really dread it and have a lot of anxiety around it, but now it's something that I absolutely love doing, and I'm really excited to do with you all tonight. So go ahead and, just like in our past workshops, let me know who's here. Hi, Alexis, I see you. And the best way to interact and let me know sort of where you're at and let me know your questions and what's going on is to put them into the question box so that I can see. Hey, Christina, how are you? And let me know if you're seeing my screen okay and everything's looking good. Hello, Robin. How are you? Robin, I know you had a huge win in the group this week, and I loved your B-School video so much. That's such a huge accomplishment. Congratulations. Seeing who else. Hello, Katie. Katie's here with pen and chai tea. I love it. That's awesome. And it looks like I'm seeing a little bit of activity right now in the Facebook group, so bear with me for 1 second while I just pop in there and make sure that everyone has what they need in there in case anyone's looking for a link. We do. If somebody wouldn't mind popping into the Facebook group, and Andrea is asking, hey, do we have a webinar today? If someone can find that registration link back down there for her, that would be awesome. If not, we'll, as we all know, we get access to the recordings afterwards, but yeah, I just want to make sure everyone who wants to have access is on. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Jeanette. Celebrating with a glass of wine. Jeanette, cheers to you. I also have a little glass of wine here tonight as well. The kids are with Grandpa, and I'm just excited to be with you all. So cheers to you all. Hi, Ingmarie. How are you? You're welcome, Robin. Hi, Liz. Liz is so looking forward to tonight. I love it. I see Coral. I see awesome ladies. Okay, so let's dive in because I know we've got a lot to cover tonight, and I'm sure there might be some questions that come up. Also, if you need to go back to the other workshops, you all know that they are posted in the on our VIP site as well. So this one will be posted probably by the end of day tomorrow. I'm at home with my kiddos tomorrow, so I'll hopefully get to it when they nap. But here we are, so let's dive in, okay? So tonight we're going through our one-page blueprint. We're going to create it. So let's talk about, because when we think about our money, and this might be something that you've done before, have you created a budget or created a spending plan? In Smart Cookies, we like to call it a spending plan. But is that something you've attempted to do before? I'd love to know that. Hi, Maureen. How are you? Ingmarie is good, excited, love making a plan. I know. I think that's why I've been so looking forward to tonight. And Marie, I feel like you too. It's like you do the work. You know, we did the day well lived. We did, you know, a lot of getting to what we really want and getting to know our numbers, which is a huge part of the process. But it feels so amazing to create this plan. Coral, Robin, Katie, yes. So this is something that you've all tried to do before and maybe had some different experiences with it. So let's talk about that. So Robin's saying, yes, I've done it, but it never sticks, right? And I used to be I love making plans, but my problem was before starting Smart Cookies and really nailing this process is that I would create the plan, but then never really track. It was so complicated and so just caught up in the details that it never really worked with real life. And then I would never really track what was happening in reality against what I had planned. And so therefore there was really no point in having the plan at all. I want to hear what you have. Yes, Christina, I have, but haven't put the budgets for personal and business together like I did last week. Yes, Christina, and that's a hugely powerful process. I love that. Linda, not able to stick with it. Robin's saying same, LOL. Did it for a vacation, but never the important things. So that's interesting, Jeanette. Jeanette's saying she likes to do it, or she has done it for vacation. So it's like a compressed period of time, but never for, the day-to-day life, like bills, etc. So that's what we're going to do tonight, ladies. And this is going to be a different process than probably you're used to. And some of you who have been following Smart Cookies for some time, so you may be looking at this spreadsheet right now. Do not panic. You do not need this spreadsheet. And so some people get really into and get excited about the, minutia of tracking every single category and updating something like this every month. And when we first started Smart Cookies, we did do this. But over time, what I've really found that works for really creating and holding on and building real wealth is something that's actually much, much simpler. And so any of you who may have this from Smart Cookies website, or this is in our book, I want you to know what we're going to do tonight is actually much, much, much simpler than this and much more powerful. Because, when you look at something like this, some people really get excited about Excel spreadsheets, but what's your first reaction when I put that slide up with all those categories and all the detail in it? What was the first reaction that came up for you? Too much work, exactly. Liz is saying, does it count if you look at your spending online bank statement and create awareness? Yes, Liz, that absolutely counts. And that's an important part of the process and knowing your numbers and looking at it, but really creating a plan and looking at projections and looking at where you want your money to go is a little bit of a different process. So we're going to talk about that tonight. I love that Linda's saying, I feel overwhelmed already by looking at that spreadsheet. Exactly, Linda. So you're going to, if it helps you, I want you to know this is so much simpler what we're going to do tonight. And Elizabeth is saying, as a resource, my favorite new budget tool is You Need a Budget, which I've heard amazing things about, Elizabeth. And I haven't used it, and I'm not a huge fan of the name of the company, but I do think it's worked for a lot of people. So I'm just going to type that in so you all can Google it. Or maybe, Elizabeth, if you wouldn't mind putting that in the Facebook group, that would be awesome. But it's called youneedabudget.com. So yes, getting caught up in the minutia doesn't always feel great. And to be honest, I don't know how well it works. For some people who are really get excited about diving into the numbers and like Excel spreadsheets, something like that might work great. But for the large majority of us, and from what I've seen in my own life, it's more powerful to have something a little more simple. Katie, I'm just getting a note from you saying the audio is going wonky every few minutes. Well, we definitely don't want wonky audio. So hopefully it'll stay clear. Is everyone else, let me know if you're having any troubles. If it continues to be weird, we can start and restop it as well. But if you have any questions, Katie, if you're missing anything, just let me know and I can put that, I can sort of retype what I've been talking about into the question box as well, okay? So here's the truth, you guys. What really works for real life, because we're busy and some of us are moms and we have jobs and we have, friendships and family, and life is so crazy. And really what it boils down to is getting really focused and getting excited about one simple page, but a comprehensive, right? We're not going to leave anything out of it, but really create a blueprint. And I love the word blueprint because it makes it feel like budget feels so restrictive to me. And blueprint is really just a guide of where we want our money to be going. That's in line with our priorities and what we really want, which is what we've been talking about in the past 2 workshops, okay? So I think too, when we look at how much time we spend worrying about money, which is, when we think about, time as a resource, like we don't have a lot of time. So it's not great to be spending a lot of time worrying about money. So the fact of the matter is, if we have no plan, we worry about it a ton. But if we're just able to create and really align with something simple, it doesn't need to be crazy. I think that's what stops us a lot of time from creating a financial plan, is that we think it's, we have to have like a CPA and a master's in accounting, and it really isn't that complicated. And that's what I hope to show you tonight as we go through this together, okay? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create your simple one-page money blueprint to use all year long. So I know some of you probably have your workbook out in front of you. If not, no worries. Just take some notes as we go along. And this is something, yes, you can do in real time as we're talking about this tonight. But you can also go in and sort of revise this and rewatch this workshop. This workshop especially, excuse me, might be one that you want to go back to and just relook at things and see where it goes. But stop me if you have any questions as we go through this tonight. All right, ladies? So let's get excited about this plan. This might be the first time ever, and actually after you go through this process, you're going to be really excited about creating and sticking to a financial plan. So creating your one page, so you're going to see this in your workbook, and this is nothing new to you because we've been working with this as we go through the workshop. So we know what our vision is, right? So on our plan, it's so important to have that as the top because it's really our guide and our compass for all the work we do. It doesn't Creating a spending plan without having your vision, without having your day well lived, and without knowing why you really want to achieve these financial goals is, in my opinion, completely pointless. We want to have the money, but we want to have the meaning in our lives as well, right? And so that's what we're doing here in our workshop together. Elizabeth, the blueprint should be in the workbook. So that is in, Elizabeth's asking, where's the blueprint document link? Yeah, it is in your workbook. So if you, you'll see that document at the top of the Money Club VIP site. Okay. So we're going to go through all of this tonight, but you're going to see where your goals and then your spending plan fit into your plan. So every month there's only 3 numbers that you really need to pay attention to. This is so amazing to say because this is where it gets so easy. This is the only 3 numbers you need to know every single month. How much you're planning to spend and how much you actually spend on your essential expenses, your goals, and on the money that goes towards your day well lived and living that life now and giving yourself permission to spend money on what's important to you. Not 3 years from now, not 10 years from now, not 1 year from now, but now. So the core to all of this, you guys, is to keep the big picture in mind and keep it simple. And that's why we've laid it out this way, is that we keep the big picture in mind in terms of our vision and our mission. And then we just work backwards and create a really, really simple spending plan that's in line with it. And that is the key to success. Yes, there's going to be roller coaster. There's going to be times when you fall off track. There's going to be times when you knock your socks off by how successful you've been. But keeping this as our guide is going to be so grounding and really lays the foundation of what we're doing here. I'm going to show you this quote again because I love it so much and I think it encompasses so much of what we talk about in our money club. The whole point of doing this spending plan is to decide what our highest, most important, most incredible priorities are so that we can have the courage to pleasantly, smilingly, and non-apologetically say no to the other things. And the way that you do that, and there's been talk in the group about, okay, how do I say, when I'm feeling stressed, when I'm feeling like I deserve something or I feel like I need to celebrate, I just want to spend money. And the way that we build this habit is by having a bigger yes burning inside and by focusing on that and creating plans around what that big important yes is to us. Elizabeth saying, this is where it falls apart for me. I have trouble accounting for unexpected expenses. Elizabeth, that's where we're going to talk about that tonight, and I'll show you where to put that in to your plan so that you can have it accounted for. And I think that's a mistake a lot of people make when creating their spending plan, is that we do it in an ideal world situation, right? And we have to build in a little bit of a buffer in there and create an automatic plan that accounts for that. So we'll definitely talk about that tonight, Elizabeth. I think that's a great point to raise. So where do we start? Everyone ready to dive in? Awesome. Okay. So let's go through step by step and let's look at how we create our spending plan and our one-page blueprint. So you're going to see here 3 different numbers, right? And we got clear on some of those. We started the process last week. And that's why I said, you know, if you can watch the last workshop, that's awesome. If you're listening to this workshop now without having done the last workshop, no worries. We're still going to go through this. But if you have your numbers in front of you right now, that's great. If not, don't worry about it. You could always go back and revisit it, okay? So the 3 numbers that we're going to focus on are our essential spending number, and I'll go through again how you get to that number, how much you want to be putting towards your goals, and I'll be going through what's included in a goal, and then how much each month you sort of leave yourself for just life's what's good in life, right? Without having to worry about where it's going or accounting for it. And we call that our life, our day well lived money, right? So getting to your essential spending number. And this is, again, we went through this last week, or in our last workshop, but I'm going to go through it again with you. So your essentials are sort of those fixed expenses. Some of those happen every single month, and some of those happen throughout the year. So we need to account for both of them. So your monthly essentials, which stay fixed pretty much from month to month, are things like your housing, so your rent or your mortgage, your utilities, your childcare, tuition if you have it, groceries. These are all things that you want to include in your fixed monthly expenses. Your non-monthly are those bills that come either quarterly or yearly. Elizabeth, this is where we want to focus on, okay, what are those yearly expenses? Now, these are the ones you can kind of predict. There will be some that kind of come out of the woodwork, but we'll talk about those in a second. So for example, your quarterly taxes, your auto insurance, your holiday gifts, haircuts, wedding gifts, home maintenance, all those things that kind of vary but are essential and that we need to plan for, okay? So that's how we get to our, that's where we get to that number, okay? And again, I'm going to go through this and then we'll sort of stop and pause, and if you have any questions as we go through, that's all good. Sorry, I've got a growling dog at my feet too. Gingy, hey. She thinks she's a tough guard dog, but she's really fooling nobody. Okay, so our non-monthly expenses, so for example, say you have quarterly taxes that come through. Give me one sec, you guys. I'm just going to get the dog. Come here. Come here. Come here. There we go. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay, and then your non-monthly are things that, so for example, if you get your quarterly tax bill, just put what that is every quarter, and then what you want to get is that yearly number of those sort of flex fixed expenses that come out either one-time fee during the year or throughout the year, okay? And then what you want to do is divide that by 12. So that's going to give you per month on average what you spend on those fluctuating essential expenses. All right, good dog, they should end. This is what happens when I talk to my mom with her dog. LOL. I know, it's, as you guys know, we moved into a new house, and so she's getting used to people around, and she's adjusting, and again, she thinks she's a serious guard dog, and she unfortunately is not at all, but she's calming down now. Thanks, ladies. Okay, so that's how we get to our average sort of essential expenses number. I'm just reading a comment by Elizabeth here. If you're starting by setting aside 50 a month for car repair, but yet it needs to come up from somewhere, which is where things need to be readjusted. Yes, Elizabeth. And again, another awesome point. So that's where, you know, we'll talk about how to create your, we call it in Smart Cookies, not an emergency fund, but your sleep peacefully at night fund. And that's why having that as a big buffer and having that as one of your goals is really important. But I want to raise that point because I think it's important, right? Like throughout the Money Club, life is going to happen. We're going to get hit with big unexpected bills. We're going to do our best to plan for those, but through the course of the year, let's be honest, you know, we might not have our Sleep Peacefully fund padded up to $10,000 in the next 2 months. So that bill might come. And you're right, it might have to come from somewhere. But that's where the beauty of the Money Club is. If we use this system as our core and work in this direction, over time, we're going to be able to stick and use this system But in the meantime, that's where it's so important to check in with the Facebook group. And when we get started in a couple weeks and do our bi-weekly meetings, talk to the group in terms of, what do they do when they have those unexpected expenses come? So it's really important, like, yes, this system does allow for a buffer, but it only works if we're able to put it in place and use it consistently. And we do need to forgive ourselves in those situations. Yes, Elizabeth, I think that's a great point, is that we don't need to beat ourselves up when it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't stick to exactly what it was. What we do need to do is, because I think that's where a lot of times we fall off track, is that we do beat ourselves up. And we saw that last year, Elizabeth, too, right? Is that sometimes when things fall off track, we feel guilty, and then we're like, oh, forget it, this isn't gonna work. And it does work, right, Elizabeth? We saw that. That's where things fall off the rails. You're so right. You're so right. Okay. So let me know if anyone has any questions about how to sort of get to that number. I know we covered that last workshop. So looking at those essential numbers. But now the next part that I really want to dive into is talking about our goals number. So for this, it's going to be different for everybody. So I'm going to go through a couple of different situations. Elizabeth, I know you just said that the software for You Need a Budget allows you to set goals. So that might be something that people might find helpful for this as well. But I know a big one is, for example, paying down credit card debt or line of credit, or like we were just talking about, building up that, might be probably referenced more as an emergency fund, but in Smart Cookie, we like to call it a sleep in peace fund, or your beauty sleep fund. Could be paying off student loans, could be your retirement contributions, and you could have multiple goals, absolutely 100%. Saving for a big vacation, saving for a down payment on a house, saving for a rent on a house. These are just a few examples. Your goals are going to be different for you depending on where you are in the group, but that's a starting point. Love it. Linda, quick question. Do we write down the monthly essentials cost or the annual cost for our one-page plan, annual plan? So that's a great question, Linda. So I would do this as sort of do it for the year and then do it for the month. So for example, you get that big number of what you want to have or spending, so you can check in at the end of the year in terms of your essentials essential spending and your goals and your day well lived money. But then the most important piece is looking at that month by month. So that's where we're going to go through, because every month what's great is to check in with those three numbers and check in on where you're at and see where things need to be adjusted, and then going from there. Question, Linda. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. So let's talk about debt for a minute, because I know this was shared a little bit in the group this week. So how do we, in terms of